Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, I was driving Hope to a doctor's appointment this morning, and as we were driving down the road, I saw this huge tree with a massive trunk, and I thought to myself, "Man, I wonder how deep the roots of that tree are." And then it reminded me of an old story. There was this huge oak tree in a forest, and it had been there for a couple hundred years, and there was this little seedling that sprouted up right next to it. And this little seedling sprouted up and said, "I'm an oak tree. I'm an oak tree." And the big oak tree looked down and said, "You're not an oak tree yet." And then a few weeks later, it sprouts a little more and says, "I'm an oak tree. I'm an oak tree." And the big oak tree said, "You're not an oak tree." And the tree grows up a little bit, has a few branches on it. And he says, "I'm an oak tree. I'm an oak tree." And the big oak tree says, "You're not an oak tree yet." And then a massive storm hits that forest, man, and trees were bending and branches were blowing off, and some trees are completely uprooted. And after the storm blows through this forest, the big oak tree looks down, and there's that little oak tree, man. He's shaking and he's trembling, but he's still standing. And the big oak tree looks down and says, "Now you're an oak tree." This is the same way it is in the Christian life. The way that Christians endure the storms of life is because you have deep roots. Well, what are we rooted in? Well, fortunately, the book of Ephesians, chapter 3, verse 17, tells us exactly what will cause your spiritual roots to go very, very deep, and that is in the love of Christ. It says, I pray that you will be rooted and grounded in the love of Jesus, that you will know the height, the depth, the length, and the width of his love. You see, when you don't understand the love of Jesus, and it's a progressive revelation because his love for us is so overwhelming, is so irrational, and so eternal that, you got to continue to press in for that revelation. But I'll tell you, that one revelation, how much Jesus loves you, is the revelation that will rock your world more than any other revelation in your Christian walk. Why? Because the love of God casts out all fear. You see, for a Christian who does not understand the depth of Jesus' love for them personally, for you personally, your soul and your heart's going to be filled with rocks and, clay and hard soil like this stuff up here in Ramona, man. I had to get an auger to dig down into soil just to plant little tiny one gallon plants. I needed an auger to get through some of this soil. That soil is like some Christians' hearts. It's full of unbelief, doubt, fear, insecurities. The love of Christ, a knowledge of the love of Christ, will remove that stuff, make the soul of your heart rich and soft, and your spiritual roots will go so deep. And then when that happens, you'll be able to experience the promise at the end of that passage, which is outstanding. It says, "And God is able to do exceedingly abundantly all that you ask or even imagine," listen to this, "according to the power that works in you." What is that power? I bet you can tell me now. The love of Christ for you. So, what is it that is stopping you from believing that Jesus loves you completely, through and through? And what can you do this week to continue to grow in the knowledge of Jesus' love? All right, I'll see you tomorrow.